Hey, so good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this presentation on 2024, the buyer comeback. And I'm going to share my screen with you so we can go through this PowerPoint. So let's do that. Let's hopefully get the right one on. Hey, it looks like if everybody can see the Atlantic Coast Mortgage screen, somebody could give me a unmute real quick and just let me know that you can see the Atlantic Coast Mortgage screen. That would be awesome.
You're good.
All right. Okay, here we go. Okay, 2024, the year of the home buyer comeback. I mean, why do we say that? Because we have so many buyers out there that have just been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for more inventory, waiting for lower rates, waiting for better products. And we have all of that going on. So why the home buyer comeback? Well, obviously, like I just said, lower rates will bring out more buyers. That's a fact, and not sure if you're noticing it, but I definitely have noticed more people putting applications in right now. The rates went to an all-time high back in October at even at 8%, and they've literally had dropped about a full point, maybe even a point and a quarter in certain circumstances. And then the last couple of weeks, they went inched up just a little bit. But I don't think we're gonna see anything above where we're at now. I mean, maybe an eighth of a point, but with the Fed announcing that they are hopefully going to make 3 rate cuts this year, then that's a really great sign for the mortgage market. When they make their cut, it doesn't actually have the same effect on the mortgage rates, but it does have an effect. So especially all of the folks out there that opened up home equity lines of credit in the last 2 years, that'll be great for them because that their rates will go down a quarter of a point at a time when the Fed lowers their rates. So we have a ton of pent up demand. I call the sideline fence sitters, people that have just been waiting. More listings should be available because with sellers knowing that they can sell their home and not take a 7.5% or 8% rate, but hopefully we'll be back in the low sixes soon. That's going to add more inventory. The builders are out there cranking out as many new homes as they can. Obviously, with the Fed rate cuts, that affects their rates too when they are getting money. So, and then of course, great marketing by you and by me, getting all these products out there for everyone so they know what's going on and that they're educated and realize, hey, there's a lot of new stuff out there that can benefit people that they have no idea about. And of course, it's our jobs to get that information out. And I'm here to help you do that. So first thing I want to talk about, and I'm certain most of you, if not all of you, already know about this, but one of the tools that I've seen very effective in the results is a 2-1 buy down. And a 2-1 buy down is a short-term rate reduction for the first 2 years of a loan. Of course, the seller or the builder have to pay for it. And what it does is it reduces the payment for the first 2 years of the mortgage. So we have what we call a locked rate or the prevailing rate. And then the buy down lowers that rate by 2% the first year, 1% the second year, and then the third year it goes to the actual locked rate. But the premise is that the rates overall should be down, I would say, probably 1.5% to 2% by the time they're out of the buy down stage, and then we're going to have an opportunity to refinance and get an even lower rate. So this is really a great way to get people off the fence. I've had several buyers where they wanted a certain payment, and of course the price range that they wanted or the payment they wanted, they really couldn't find anything in that price range. So when we showed them the results of what they could do with a 2-1 buy down, they were able to put an offer in for higher than what they really wanted because we know that they had that payment lower, and I'm going to go over that in just a second to give you an idea. And then it also helps them increase their purchase price as well because that payment's going to be so much lower in that second year, and then the first year and then the second year, and they are qualified on the locked-in rate. So it's not like they're going to be put in a bad position where the rate's going to go up and then they can't afford it. They're going to be qualified on that higher rate. So another advantage of it is, we have buyers that go in and they say, well, I want to offer $10,000 less. Well, instead of doing that, offer full price and then ask the sellers to pay for the 2-1 buy down, and it's a win-win. So that's what the 2-1 buy down is. It's a great way to market it. And here we go, marketing the 2-1 buy down. So if you have a seller that their house isn't moving or they need to move fast and have a quick close, or it's a hard to sell property, that's something you can advertise in your marketing out there as a seller offering 2-1 buy down. I've had an agent use that, and their listing was on the market for over 60 days, and as soon as they put that up there, they got a contract within a week. The other thing for marketing is, of course, educating my buyers. So if you have that buyer that's just says, I can't pay more than $1,800 a month, well, we know $1,800 a month is probably about $180,000 purchase price. But if we can share them, hey, look, if we do a 2-1 buy down, you can have an $1,800 a month payment, yet you can go up to maybe $230 to $240 and now be in the market to be able to buy a home. And the other factor is that people should be getting raises. Normally it's 3% a year, and that would cover that increase in the rate and the payment by getting that kind of raise. If they're not getting a raise every year, then they probably are in the wrong business. But another way to market this is sending emails or videos to your pipeline. Anybody that you have out there that's just been sitting, we can create some flyers together, turn them into JPEGs, videos. You can post this on your social media. It does gain a lot of traction. You get a lot of inquisitive people that want to know about it. And like I said, it definitely increases their purchase flexibility by having those lower payments. This is an example of what their payment savings are. So if we had a prevailing rate of 7.5%, they are lower than that now, but let's just say they had 7.5%. Year one, their rate would be 5.5%. If you look at their principal and interest on a $400,000 loan amount, it would be at $2,271. Year two, the rate would go up to 6.5%, and the payment would go up to $2,528. And then year three, that locked-in rate payment of $2,796. So if you look at that first year, every month they're saving $525 a month. Second year, they're saving $268. So you can see that's pretty significant. And if we looked at $525 a month, the average payment is $60 per 10,000. So if you took 60 and divided it into that, you're looking at about $80,000 and more in purchase price that they would be able to go up. And remember, like I said, they're being qualified on that locked-in rate. So that's a huge difference. And then, of course, like I said, in year three, they can refinance to the current market, or they can refinance sooner than that, whenever they want. But like I said, it's pretty much a guarantee that the rates will be by the end of 2024. We're thinking low sixes, if not 6, and then sometime in first quarter of 2025, we might see the 5s again. So that's not even barely a year from now. And this is just a worksheet to show you how we figure this out. I do have this available that I can email to you. And it's pretty cool. You just type in the loan amount. You type in whatever that buy down note rate is that's fixed, and then the permanent buy down, which starts out 2% lower. And then if you look down, it actually will compute and tell you what the seller credit has to be. It's based on the loan amount, not on the purchase price. And then again, it's got what I had showed you on the previous slide, what the monthly payment reduction is for those first couple of years. So pretty cool when you put different numbers in and send this to a buyer. And it's pretty eye-opening. Okay, the lender paid one buy down. So this is something that Atlantic Coast Mortgage is offering now. And let's say you're in competition and you think that there's no way that the seller is going to pay for a buy down, or they don't want to raise the price up and include it in, or they're just dead set saying, hey, this house is going to sell, we don't need to do a buy down. Or guess what, we can actually do one for the buyer. It's only a 1 year, but you just saw that example, or I've got one below that monthly payment would be $268 less a month. Now, for us to buy it down from, the rate is going to start off about 1/4 point higher. So they're really going to net 3/4 point lower. But again, it's a great way to get somebody into that house and get them some extra room to be able to afford more a higher price range. Okay, now we're going to switch to construction to perm. We do not do land loans here at Atlantic Coast Mortgage, but a construction to perm loan, they can finance the land as long as they're doing everything together with their house contract at the same time. So they don't have to go out and pre-purchase it. So we can do that as one unit. But this is brand new to Atlantic Coast Mortgage. We now have a one-time close for construction to perm loan up to 95% financing, which is amazing. Obviously, if they're putting less down than 20%, they will have monthly mortgage insurance, but that's not going to come on until they go into their permanent financing. So they are able to either get a 9-month or 12-month build. Obviously, the 12-month, the rate is a little bit higher. But builders seem like they're starting to crank them out a little bit faster. So so it might be they might be able to take advantage of the 9-month. I would always go 12 personally, because we know how things can change, but still they do have an option. It's offered as a 7-year ARM, so it's a fixed rate for 7 years. And then at that point, they can obviously refinance whenever they want. Or a 15-year fixed rate. Now, a fixed rate is going to make the payment much, much higher. It's a lot cheaper to deal with a 15-year fixed as far as things that are charged to do the loan, but again, that payment is higher. And the conforming loan amounts are available. So the conforming loan amounts have gone up big time this year. Up to 766,000, so they can get a loan up to 766,000. And the minimum loan amount has to be 300,000. It's only for one unit and only for primary residences, so we can't do second homes or investment properties. If you did have a buyer that wanted to do a second home or investment properties, I do have connections that I can hook you up with that do those loan types. And the way it works is, during the construction, they're going to pay prime plus 1.5. So prime right now is 8.5% plus 1.5. So they would start off at 10%. I know that sounds like a lot. It is, but it's only interest only, and they only pay on their draw. So if they had a $100,000 draw, they're paying interest only 10% on just that 100,000. Usually, they're only going to have one payment at the full boat. Now, if the Fed cuts the interest rate, guess what? Their interest rate goes down as well, because it's tied to the prime. So if the Fed cuts it 3 times, they could start off with a 10 and end up at a 9.25 by the time they're done, which is a huge help. Once that loan is done, they do not have to go back and do another loan. It's actually, they close up front. So it's like it says, one time. They just have to pay out their escrows and get that all set up at that time. But they will already have their loan locked in. So they don't have to worry if the market went up by some crazy reason, they would be set. Now, 2-time close, we offer that as well. It's pretty much the same parameters. The difference on this is they are going to close their loan up front for the construction part, and then at the very end, they're gonna reclose on the permanent loan, but they do have to be reapproved. So if something changed during the process, somebody lost their job, their credit score went down, something like that, it could affect their permanent financing, and it could be um now on the permanent financing, it does have this the second set of closing costs. However, the permanent financing is done as a refinance of the construction loan. So the fees are a lot less. And the key is they get the market rate. So instead of being locked in as they are on a first one-time close, they actually can get whatever the market rate is. So if the rates have dropped down to 6%, they'll get a 6% instead of maybe a 7.5 that they locked into. So that's the advantage. There's probably more disadvantages to it, but for that buyer that really is looking for that lower payment, that's going to happen with this land. Alternative financing. That was pretty cool. Little origami bird flying away. Alternative financing. We just hooked up with an investor back in, I believe, the August timeframe, and there are some incredible programs. I've closed 2 of these now, 2 different ones. The first one that I closed was the bank statement program, so it's back for the for your self-employed buyers, and it's up to 90% loan to value, and there's no mortgage insurance. So they have a choice to turn in either 12 months or 24 months bank statements. It can be personal or business. Obviously, the longer term is a better rate. Right now, the rates are in the high 9s, so it is expensive. But for those buyers that are writing everything off and showing their income, this is a great alternative for that. Then they always have, the opportunity over a couple of years to show as much income as they can to refinance into a regular rate. They also have 40-year interest-only options available. Of course, that's going to jack the rate up probably about 2.5%. I don't really know if they're going to save all that much money, but the key on this is they can actually use this for second homes and investment properties. So, great way to build a portfolio. Again, if it's an investment property, then as long as they're breaking even, or even if they have to pay a little bit of a mortgage, that's huge. And there is no, they're using their bank statement. So we're averaging out all their deposits over the 12 or 24 months. The asset qualifier is the next one. And what that is, that it's almost kind of like what they used to have, what they call a no dot. They're not showing any employment, no income, there's no debt to income. What it is based on their assets. So they have to put a minimum of 25% down, and then at closing, they have to show $500,000 or more in their bank, and it has to be liquid funds. But hey, if somebody is retired or somebody can't do the bank statement loan for whatever reason, this is another great opportunity. And it also for major derogatories, they don't hold them accountable for the full penalty fee. So if somebody was doing a conventional loan and they had a foreclosure, they'd have to wait 7 years. Well, on this loan, it's only 5. The other cool thing is non-warrantable condos are allowed on this. So a non-warrantable condo is a condo that doesn't meet the normal financing. So that would be if it's not approved by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, we can still do the loan for them. So it's another great opportunity. I'm going to skip a couple. I'm going to go to the next one is the I-10 mortgage loan. This is for somebody who does not have a residency, a visa, a green card in the United States. I did one of these for a gentleman who was self-employed. Luckily, he filed, didn't write everything off on his taxes, but he is not did not have a green card, not a citizen, and did not have a work visa. But he did have a Social Security or I-10 number where he's paying taxes, and he was able to buy a house, 25% down, and credit scores were only 660, so he had a 680 credit score. The rate wasn't pretty, it was 10.8, but he knows now that over the next couple of years, he needs to get working on getting his visa so that his work visa, so that way he can refinance into a traditional loan, because he did file enough. And then lastly, is the DSCR loan, which is the investor cash flow no income loan, and this one is based solely on the fair market value of the property. It's only for investors, investment properties. They do have to put 20% down, but what it does is it takes the amount of fair market value for rental income and it's divided by their mortgage payment. And as long as that equals 1% or more, they can get the loan. Again, there's no employment, no income, debt to income is not a factor. So this is a great product for investors. There's no limits to how many properties they can have. And the higher their credit score, they actually can go with a non-DSCR ratio, which means if they had over a 740 credit score and they at least own one of the investment property, they don't even need to have a ratio. So pretty wild. Excuse me. Another great one to help people build their portfolios. If someone is a first-time home buyer, they can't use this program. If they do own a home and don't have any investments properties, then they can use this. They just have to have a 1.25%. And then lastly is foreign national. This is for someone that does not live in the United States. They're solely buying an investment property or second home, investing here, and they can purchase a home with 30% down. So pretty cool. All right, the big one, Virginia Housing. The 2024 changes, this is huge. So Virginia Housing, basically what they've done is they've broken the program into two sections. What they call the bond program and the non-bond program. The bond program is where someone can get a grant, either down payment or closing cost assistance. It's a tighter restriction on income. And it's a tighter restriction on the loan amount, and